South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Chorizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Chorizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at chorizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Rollouts have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Rollouts will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Rollouts make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Rolloffs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
You've got used to one segment of Good Takes in the morning, but now there's a full show of Good Takes at night. Welcome into Raff's Good Take on Sports on 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome into Raff's Good Take on Sports. We got Chris Raff joining me as always. We do got NFL in the brick and mortar. The Bengals and the Steelers. The Bengals actually got a little bit of life going right now. And it is Thursday Night Football, so unless you got Amazon Prime, that's a tough one. But nonetheless, we do got Chris Raff, host as always, joining us via stream down in Alabama while I'm in the capital city, Lincoln, Nebraska. Raff, how's it going on a Thursday, the day before game day?
Going pretty good. I'm excited for game day tomorrow, but then I'm also a little disappointed because I always look for my Saturdays to watch Nebraska football. So hopefully we'll have a victory in the bag. So going into Saturday, I can just sit back and watch football all day and see what happens with the rest of the country. So I guess it's a good and bad situation for me.
Yeah, I mean, football nowadays, it's Monday through Friday. It's insane. So I've just kind of, especially with my job, always hovering around Husker sports now, it's kind of nice for me because now I can just work Monday through Friday and not have to come in on Saturday and Sunday.
You got to work every day, Harrison. What are you talking about?
What's that?
You got to work every day. What are you talking about?
I know it is. I will say this, Raff, it is one of those jobs where you feel guilty if you're not working, because if you've done any ounce of blue collar, it's very, very hard to complain about this job. And I mean weak blue collar stuff. I'm not talking about you got to be the toughest blue collar job. I'm talking just basic blue collar. And then you have a job like this where, I just get to talk to the community and talk about sports. And then I get to, kind of be biased and put in my bears maybe a little bit too much at times, but it's a pretty good job. So you do kind of have that conflict in your head. It's like, I work a lot. And it's like, well, you work a lot, but like, how hard is your work compared to others' work? So then you feel a little bit, required. Like, my job is to watch Husker football, then go talk about it. It's one of those mental conflicts you can have. So I try not to complain if you haven't noticed.
It's a dream come true.
It really is. I've said this before, but like if I wasn't doing this, and I've told DP this as well. If this station, didn't ever hire me, I'd probably just be doing paint and drywall still. I'd probably be in the blue collar field. And that job was enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. Working with your hands and stuff was great, but I couldn't tell you how far it was going to go other than being like maybe a manager at an apartment complex somewhere. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to do that. So shout out to the ticket for one day looking at their emails and saying, who's this knucklehead intern that wants to work here? And then shout out to Jake Sorensen and the crew for being the first guys to teach me through it and get me through early break. And yeah, it's crazy to think how long I've been working here. I know it's a little bit of a side tangent here, but just thinking about all the years I've worked at the ticket and, of course, meeting you guys and all the other talent here. What a whirlwind. So, again, all that to say, my job, I love doing it, and it's really not that hard. It's more of a privilege than anything else.
So what brought you to the ticket originally?
Okay, so, I was in school, and like I said, I was just working at CIP, and CIP is great, the apartment complexes around Lincoln, and I was still doing, like, journalism as my major, and I was like, well, this is, do I just, like, drop out of school? Like, what am I doing here? Because I'm not doing anything in the field right now. Everything I'm doing outside of school has nothing to do with what I'm paying all this money towards, so it was a little bit of slight panic, and it was a year later. Do you remember Ethan Petrick at all?
Big Country?
Big Country, yep. So
Yes.
he was the intern, and then he got the Iowa gig. And shout out to everyone who remembers Big Country or Big Sky.
Or Big Sky, yeah.
Yeah, it was Big Sky. He's from North Dakota.
Bryant Reeves in Oklahoma State.
Yep. And so he got the Iowa job, and then he knew he was leaving, so he was just like helping Mark out. And he was like, well, Mark, let's look through your emails here and all these. And then he saw my email from a year ago. A year later, they got back to me and they're like, hey, no, it's late, but are you still interested? And I was like, yeah, definitely. Because I was kind of spinning. It was a weird moment where they found me. And I was like, I'll do anything right now. And then Ethan Petrick, Big Sky, was like probably one of the best people that could teach you. Like, he was a great worker early on at the ticket when we're still in that small studio. Yeah. And then he kind of showed me the ropes. And then that's how it all started. And then Jake and all those guys, obviously great too, supporting me. But yeah, I owe a lot to Big Sky. He was the one that found my resume.
That's cool. That's cool. He was actually our first producer for Riffin' with Raff and AD at the very beginning.
Yep. And he trained me.
Yep. And then just after that, he left to go back to, I think he got married too. Married and lives in Iowa now.
Yeah.
So Harrison, if I say 138,000 to you, what do you think of?
Indiana.
Why do you think Indiana when I say 138,000?
It's about a Cignetti making $11.8 million a year up till 2033.
138,000. That was Tom Osborne's final salary with Nebraska.
That's all it was.
His last year coaching, 1997, 138,000. However, he did get a $50,000 bonus for winning the national championship. But
well, that covers it.
But in true Tom Osborne fashion, he never took that bonus. He always would split it up amongst his assistant coaches. So, but it's just crazy to think that you have coaches now that, I believe the highest paid coach is Kirby Smart right now, just a tad over 13 million.
Yep. And then it's Ryan Day, and now it's Kurt Cignetti. That's your top three on the board.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that I'd believe by the end of this year you're going to have a $15 million head coach in college football.
Raff, it brings up an interesting point though, because when we did the NCAA versus House settlement, they did put a cap on the NIL. What is it? 22 million?
I'm not sure on the exact number.
I know it's not, and if it's over 22 million, not by a lot.
Yeah.
So there's that number out there, and to try to make college football, have somewhat level of fairness. But now you can just fire coaches with $50 million buyouts that is double than what it's almost like you can't go down this route, but do you put a cap on coaches' salaries? Like the amount of money in the coaches now is getting unreal. And then you're hearing about these universities are going to struggle to keep up. Maybe that's why some of them are embracing sports gambling. But then you're firing coaches with major buyouts, and then you're hiring coaches for $11 million a year. That's half of your NIL salary right there in the coach. So again, I'm not saying maybe Cignetti doesn't deserve it or anything, but we are getting to some bizarre numbers when it comes to the coaches.
Well, and then the best part about it is these coaches now, they're seeing that, coaches are being terminated in the middle of the year. And
Mhm.
so, and their buyouts, they're making it like, I think Signetti, like 90 million or something, like some crazy buyout if he's released. It's just you hear those numbers and it's just wild to me. And to think that I think the market is just kind of being reset again. I think
Yeah.
it was set there for a while with Kirby and Nick Saban. I think Nick Saban's contract was always, he had to be paid just a scotch more than whatever the highest paid college football coach was, and that's the way his salary was set. But I think now you're looking at it, I think, and I would believe that Penn State probably, whoever their next coach is, will probably end up being the highest paid coach in college football. Just throwing it
Yeah.
out there right now.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of how it works, right? The next one hired, if it's a big name, is usually the most paid.
Yep.
We saw that even in the NFL. Like Jordan Love got a crazy contract when that first came out. What does surprise me, though, is you see these big numbers, and you kind of pointed it out already. Now they're starting to sign these guys for like 8 years, and it's like, but you guys will fire coaches if they have 2 bad years in a row.
Yeah.
But you're committing long term. So again, some of that's leverage. Like if we give him a long term commitment, he's way more likely to take that deal. And maybe he wouldn't take it unless we made it an 8-year deal. But at the same time, like a lot of these universities are, again, one bad season, sometimes just two. Well, in Penn State's case, one bad season. You were in the playoffs last year. You can talk about losing the big games, but still, you're going to probably make the playoffs more often than not. And 3 losses in a row, and he's out. And he had that extension as well. So I think they're trying to figure out these contracts as well a little bit. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, because I think that is kind of critical to think about. Like the player cap is there, but the coach's cap is well beyond the entire roster, double the roster at times.
Yeah. And the thing of it too is like the more money that's put into it, then the more expectations are there. So like, let's just say, for example, Coach Rule, say Nebraska opens up the piggy bank and says, okay, just to make sure that you love Nebraska and you want to coach at Nebraska, and we don't want to lose you to Penn State, we're going to, say, bring you up to $11 million a year. Well, then all of a sudden the expectations for Nebraska football fans and Nebraska football is, well, then we want 11, top 3 coaching results. So we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be contending for Big Ten championships. It's but then, Coach Rule, though, he's going to come back, if he, signs his, but even now he's set up really good. If say things would fall apart this year and say stuff doesn't progress the way he's expecting it to, his buyout's going to be so great that, he'll be like, well, things didn't work out. However, I can go sit back on the beach, out on the East Coast. So it's a crazy world, but man, for some of these head coaches, it's the perfect world, because you're going to get your money one way or the other. Hopefully it's, to be successful at that college. But on the other hand, you're like at Orgeron, where they're like, well, we're going to give you this much money to leave. Well, show me the door. It's crazy. But I would never have thought, if you'd told me back in 1997 when Coach Osborne was severely underpaid too. He is one of the last. There were a lot of coaches that were getting paid more than him back in 97, but it's just crazy to hear that now. But then also too, I know that he was always giving like the hometown discount. But in a way, though, I think he might have been hurting his assistant coaches a little bit, because you never had an assistant coach that was getting paid more than Coach Osborne. So looking back on it now, I think if you talk to Coach Osborne, he's probably wishing he might have took a little bit more. I mean, it worked out great. We got national titles, but maybe he wishes he might have took a little bit more money. So then those assistant coaches could have got a little bit money underneath him at the time. But I guess that's all, hearsay and speculation now. But at the time, we're like, oh, Coach Osborne only makes $138,000. That's great. But then, some of those assistant coaches, they could have been making more than, because it's crazy to think that we had assistant coaches in 97 that were making probably $75,000, $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, and then I think that's why Osborne probably gave them the checks at the end, like he's like, well, I know you guys are getting paid even less than me, and I'm one of the underpaid coaches, so let me help you guys out. And that's why Osborne was so great. I mean, we have yet to see a coach that's like that.
Yeah.
So, like, seriously, just willing to not take the money. And in the world today, that just sounds crazy that a coach wouldn't take the money. But and even like feed it back into the program like that. Now, there's been examples of it, but to that degree, we have not seen that. I do want to point this out, just since we're on the coaching carousel. This is going to be, the numbers are going to get crazy because let's just think about all the teams right now. And a lot of these teams that are open, I mean, they got some boosters.
Arkansas,
Razorbacks, they got some money. Oklahoma State, it may not be the biggest, but they have some money. Obviously, Penn State, they got a ton of money. UCLA, not so much. But what if Florida opens up? They have 2 wins on the season with Napier right now. Florida's got a bunch of money and a bunch of resources. What numbers do they throw out there? What about UNC? Does UNC just say, screw it, this was a horrible idea? Maybe we do let go Bill Belichick after 1 year. Now that spot opens up. I would say this is crazy about Clemson, but I did just see, James Franklin get fired after making it to the semifinals last year. Does Dabo Sweeney burn out at the end of the year and then they fire him? There's potential to have some really, really big name schools out there throw out some crazy numbers because there's going to be a lot of locations and you're going to need to do some heavy contracts to get them to where you're just going to have to outbid these other schools that may potentially have openings. And again, if that Florida one opens up, that's another big program that's going to throw their weight around.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. And then looking back on Oklahoma State, for instance, I don't know if anybody knows or who knows it, but I know that T. Boone Pickens has, that trust set up that I'm sure Oklahoma State, they've got a lot. That don't even rhyme, but they got a lot of money from T. Boone Pickens' trust, last year. So you wonder when that hits again, of how he's got that set up, if it's something where they get it every 5 years. Somebody in that athletic department has to know the way that trust is set up to how much money they can spend. So you look at Oklahoma State, how much money they could spend on a coach. We already said Arkansas. Jerry Jones is always lurking in Fayetteville. He's got his hand on the pulse there. So there's a lot of, like I said, I think 15 million. I think come next year you're going to have a $15 million coach, if not 2 or 3 of them.
What's crazy, Raff, is I don't disagree with you. The fact that I can agree with you on that's unreal. How much they're getting paid here. Let's get some of Raff's roadies on here on the text line here. We got 1961. You're not the only one with this opinion, Raff. I'll get your thoughts on it. First of all, did you hear Matt Rule on the Pat McAfee show today?
Just bits and pieces. I just listened to the clips. So feels
like he still kind of kept it open, just a little bit, where he said, "I'm not going to think about that now."
Yeah.
And then he talked about the future of Nebraska, but he didn't talk about him being in that. It was different than what Kurt Cignetti said. Kurt Cignetti really doubled down on Indiana.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, I don't want to say he was still stiff arming it. He gave more confidence, but it still feels like he's leaving it cracked open. I'm not entirely sure. I'll just let the man coach the game, but I do want to get your thoughts on this. 1961 says, Rule is gone. We need to move on. In business, you need to be ahead. I hope Dannon has a clue. What do you think?
Oh, I think he does. I think he has a plan. I'd be remiss to think that he doesn't. As for Rule being gone, I don't know. The thing and more I think about it too is Matt Rule enough to satisfy the Penn State boosters? I get it. It's his alma mater. He loves Penn State. He played there. He grew up. But this isn't like at the end of the day, yes, he has got victories. He got Nebraska back to a bowl game. But when you look at his career record against top 25 teams, I mean, it's not, what is it, 1-22 or something like that? It's not great against. So is that going to satisfy the Penn State fans out there saying, well, we fired a coach, who was unable to get us over the hump for a national title, to bring in a coach that's, still struggling against, top 25 teams consistently. So I'm not sure how that'll play out. But then again, he's friends with the athletic director. So that's a positive. But like I've said from the get-go, if Coach Rule decides to leave for Penn State, that's nothing I would hold against him, just for the fact that it is his alma mater. And I understand that. The only thing that I wish for Coach Rule is, as much as he's, the great things he said about Nebraska, is that he does not leave Nebraska in a lurch. Like, don't do it one of those fly-by-night things, like one day saying he's here and then the next day he's sitting in, Penn State. Why am I forgetting all my great knowledge? Where's Penn State at? State College? State College.
Yeah.
Yeah, State College. Yeah. So I just hope that he just does it. If it's something that happens, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. I think if anything, it's going to work well for Coach Rule, because I think he'll probably end up getting a raise from Nebraska. And that's one of those where I'm like, well, I would like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see us, beat a top 25 team, or maybe even a top 10 team, just to show, like, yes, we're 5-1 right now. It's great record where we should, it's good to be here at 5-1, but at the end of the day, we haven't got a victory against, like in Ohio State, against, I know it's crazy to say, but even a Penn State, I know they're struggling this year. So, and consistently beat Iowa. So I think he's in a great spot. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But I would not, like I said, I would not be upset if he left to go. I just hope he does it. And if it's something he elects to do, I just hope he does it in a classy manner.
Well, he's 2-23 in those top 25 games. Last time he won one, could you guess the president?
Let's see. Last time I'm going to go back to Donald Trump.
Temple, Barack Obama. You have to go back to Barack Obama. I mean, just put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Been a while. He's gotten a win versus a ranked opponent. And that it was, I think it was last season at Temple when he did it. But yeah. So he's, after the Mich game, he's 2-23. But the thing that does give me hope about why he might stay is, if you are Matt Rule, if you do what Penn State does normally with 9 wins, you're a hero. If you go to Penn State and do what Penn State does normally and get 9 wins, you're fired.
Yeah.
Maybe not fired right away, but you'll do that.
Look tomorrow. Like, if Nebraska comes out, plays with its food, PJ Flex notoriously, he's pretty good at beating Nebraska. So if Nebraska drops this game tomorrow, I mean, there's not a Penn State fan out there that's going to be saying, bring in Coach Rule. And so he's got, I guess, if this job is something that he, like I said, he's fully, sold on Nebraska right now. But like I said, when you have alma maters playing into it and loves and like that, there's a crack in the door. There always is. But it's like, he's got to be, accepted by those Penn State fans just as much. And a loss tomorrow, then I would say that his chances even, would be slim. But then I know they're going to say, well, it doesn't all matter just what one game says. But look at college football. It's a, what have you done for me lately sport, or it really has become that. So definitely accumulating wins this year, that's going to be key for, whatever Coach Rule decides to do. And also, I think it's key when it comes to, if Nebraska decides to adjust his salary and give him a raise. I mean, there's got to be something behind it. Yeah, 5-1 is great, but there still hasn't been, that win over, that quote unquote, that signature victory yet.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. We got to go to break. If he's going to Penn State, if you're Troy Dannon, you try to show him like a Scott Frost coaching montage, being like, the alma mater isn't always the answer. Sometimes it blows up worse than you can imagine. You might even burn bridges with your alma mater. Rule. You don't want to do that. No, obviously you wouldn't do that, but it's just kind of crazy. It feels like Nebraska is always in these weird situations where we're kind of just the example of a lot of things going south.
But here's the deal about Nebraska. I don't think, I'll say this right here, right now. If Nebraska loses Coach Rule, I don't think it's one of those where Nebraska goes south. I think it's one of those things where you get on the phone to James Franklin ASAP and you see if he wants to come in and, and replace him. I mean, that would be my first call would be James Franklin, just for the fact that he's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder, being released from Penn State the way he was. You're going to keep him inside the conference where he's had success, within the conference. And he had, a pretty decent recruiting class at Penn State. It could be a flip-flop of recruiting classes. So I don't think it's the end of days. I think, like I said, I think Troy Dannon's got a plan, whether if Coach Rule stays, that's great. The relationship they have, it looks like it's strong and steady. It's good. But if he does decide that his alma mater calls him back home, I think that Nebraska definitely has a plan B.
Yeah, and every AD does, right? You'd be a bad AD if you didn't have a plan B. So
let me tell you, I saw one back in the early 2000s. It wasn't very well put together, that's for sure.
I can throw out a few names that I grew up watching. You guys can probably take a swing. I won't name them. You guys know probably which one I'm talking about. Not always the most active. And I'm actually not talking about Trev Alberts, if people do think I'm talking about him. But so that really helps you out. All right. With that being said, we do got to throw it to break. We'll get to one more from Anthony in Portland, and then we'll leave Matt Rule alone so he can focus on Minnesota. That's his focus. That's the team's focus. That is everyone's focus on the Huskers. But this one from Anthony in Portland. Final thing on Rule. It says, Rule is savvy. I believe he's angling for more program money. I'll take him and the players at their word over people interpreting his comments. And that's fair. That's a good way to look at it. It'll keep you from absorbing other people's thoughts and creating your own thoughts. So I don't mind that. Anthony in Portland. Well said. And I'll be honest, that's kind of the way I'm trying to think about it as well. I can't know. So I'll just take what they say, and I can take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I have right now. So with that being said, unless you got any final thoughts on it, Raff.
Oh, I was just going to say, any way you can angle, not only to get money for him as a coach, as an individual, but also to open up the piggy bank more for the program. I mean, if that's what he has to do, like you said, he's very savvy. That's one thing I've never questioned about Coach Rule. So, I feel at the end of the day, it's going to work out the best for everyone, no matter what happens.
I like that. And on a positive note, different from yesterday. It wasn't necessarily positive on the way out. All right. With that being said, we'll throw it to break. Don't go anymore. Segments number 2 and 3 still coming up ahead. 93.7 The Ticket. Raff's Good Take on sports.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change anytime without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red. Eat at Amigos and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor. We want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to SmokingGunJerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Back to Raff's Good Take on Sports on 93.7 The Ticket. With all the good takes you need, here is your host, Chris Raff.
Welcome back in. Segment number 2. We're going to break down a little bit of Nebraska versus Minnesota. You guys can still join in 402-464-5685 right here. Raff's Good Take on Sports. I'm in Lincoln. He's in Alabama, but the show continues. Raff is still a member of the Ticket. With that being said, real quick, Raff, before we get into like Nebraska, Minnesota, I do got to highlight this because it deserves all the highlights. The Bits of Broken Chair trophy.
Yes.
One of the best ones out there. And you know why it's great? Because it's not the Exxon Mobil 1 Chick-fil-A Bits of Broken Chair trophy. It's not the Spectrum Aloe whatever trophy. It's not a sponsored trophy. It's what the rivalry trophies used to be. And the history of it's funny. For all those who remember, it did start with Goldie the Gopher and Faux Pelini, back when they had the Faux Pelini account going back and forth. And then the first tweet was, how about a friendly wager for this weekend's game? Team that gets the most points gets the conference win. Seem fair. And then they go back and forth. And then it gets to the point of Bo Pelini saying, okay, how about if we win, you give me $5. And if you win, I get to smash a wooden chair over your back. Hence the Bits of Broken Chair. And then it went on. And then it kind of died, despite it being a real thing being passed around. Because again, the schools were not quite embracing it. Now they both seem to do, and they are proud of it. Matt Rule spoke about it, and he talked about it as a rivalry trophy, and they support it. But because it didn't have those corporate sponsors, it just kind of died, which was a bummer. But they brought it back. And now not only do they bring it back, it goes to charities as well. The first year, I think they raised, how much did they raise? 7,500. 2018, they raised 11,500. 2019, 15,300. And then 2020, obviously with COVID, they raised over 9,000. And I couldn't tell you what some of these other years were, but just to kind of show you the growth. And now it's actually a great cause as well. And again, it's just a good trophy, a classic rivalry trophy that isn't littered with corporate sponsors that unfortunately a lot of sports is now.
And it made an appearance at the ticket too last year, didn't it?
I think it did a couple of years. Yeah.
Yep. So
Rico was always well connected with that thing, and shout out Rico, because that was big. I mean, that is something that we should get behind. That is only does good things for charity. There's no one making money off of it. I mean, it's just a legit rivalry trophy. And I like that Matt Rule mentioned it as being one of those rivalry trophies. And he was open about it because it's what? Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Yep. I believe you're right. I could not tell you the names of those trophies. I just remember the Iowa game when Nebraska got it. That was like the first trophy Nebraska had in its hands in like 10 years. So that was exciting for those seniors and for that team. Yeah, it'd be cool to get a victory and put something, in the trophy cases down in Lincoln.
It's just on a block of wood too. I love it.
The thing about it, I just love about it. It's just like you said, they do it for a great cause, and they're fundraising and trying to have the fan bases compete against each other, raising money. And I think that's a great idea. So that's huge. I guess that might be the one thing going with the Bustin' with the Boys trophy with the Michigan Nebraska game.
Oh yeah.
If they could find a way to put something behind charity, behind that'd be something that maybe Will Compton and Taylor Luan could look at to do in the future, is to make that some sort of charity also, because anything for charity, that's always A+ in my book.
Yeah, and again, it's a cool way to bring it's a much better rivalry trophies than when you do have. I mean, it just hurts when you have the Cheez It rivalry trophy. It just kind of ruins it right there. It's like, oh, we're battling over the Cheez It trophy, and that's its full season. That stuff kind of falls on deaf ears. So this one's like a legit rivalry trophy that hasn't been untainted, and that's a rarity in today's college sports. So I like to shout that one out. It's one of the cooler ones in all of college football, in my humble opinion. But Raff, that's all I got. I just want to shout that trophy out. And again, if you guys want to help out with it, just go to brokensharetrophy.com. You can learn more and also figure out which charity to donate to. But let's talk Minnesota versus Nebraska. Floor is yours.
Well, I think the key for the game on Friday or tomorrow, man, that's crazy. Tomorrow we'll be in what about the fourth quarter come tomorrow, fourth quarter. I think the big thing for Nebraska, it's going to be defensively tomorrow, and it's going to be trying to get Drake Lindsey, their big 6'5", 230-pounder, off schedule in the passing game. I think that's going to be huge. He's not the most mobile guy, not a runner whatsoever. They've been throwing the ball. They've been averaging, close to 40 times a game throwing the ball. I think it's going to be a huge game for Nebraska's defensive line to get pressure on him, especially usually being a bigger quarterback, pressure up the middle to get him, to get him moving side to side. I think that'll be huge for Nebraska tomorrow. The defensive backs going to have to, they're going to be good. Looks like, Hartsock's going to be missing another game. Yep. So the no-fly zone of Nebraska needs to come clutch tomorrow. But I think it'll be huge if Nebraska's front three, front four can get pressure on the quarterback, and especially if they can get pressure without having to blitz. That would be huge for Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, that was the beauty when you had Ty and Nash both back there, because those guys, I mean, you could consistently get pressure with four, and that was kind of the beauty of what we had last year. Did last week feel like one of the better weeks we had in terms of just that? Well, Malik Washington had time in there. I'm just trying to figure out, has there been a game where we felt really confident in our ability to get to the quarterback yet?
I think it's been more glimpses. I don't think it's, like not a constant. There's been some games where it was kind of non-existent, but then you'll see glimpses at a time. You're like, okay, they're going to be all right. And I think this will be another big game for them this week, because they don't really have a running back that really, is a big threat. I think their best running back average is like 4.7 yards a carry. So not a super home run threat. So if Nebraska can, make them one dimensional, get them throwing the ball, and then, be able to get pressure on him. Because one of the, the kryptonites for Nebraska always seems like a mobile quarterback always hurts Nebraska. It just seems like year after year. And that's something they don't have to worry about. So it's just a factor of, staying in your lanes on the blitz. And I just really think if you pressure them in the middle, I think that's the ticket for Nebraska's defense.
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna Minnesota likes to do a lot of outside zones, and I've said that a lot. But so far, Nebraska is, to me, they look weakest when those teams are able to get those outside runs. Whether they're handing it off or if the quarterback's on, whatever it is, when they get to the outside, that's kind of when the lanes have been opening up a lot for the Huskers. Minnesota's going to try to do that a lot, I think, early on, and if they can't get it going, that's when I'll give my score prediction now because we'll skip the break because we're already over and it's Thursday and we're going to keep talking Nebraska versus Minnesota, but they're gonna try that, and I think it'll be a 30-10 victory if Nebraska, or 34-10 maybe even, if Nebraska can shut down that run early, because I don't think Drake Lindsey's had to throw against the secondary this good yet. And if they can't lean on their run game at all, if we make them one-dimensional, then I do think Lindsey gets a little bit uncomfortable having to throw against those defensive black shirts over and over again. And then if you can get pressure on the quarterback, that's the cherry on top. I'm going to keep saying it. There is coverage sacks out there to be had. And that's why I really want to see this defensive line take that step. I mean, that's why the duo last year was so good. And can you imagine what it would have been this year if we still had Ty and Nash?
Yeah.
And that linebacker core as well. Obviously with John Bullock, he was another big factor in it. I mean, when you had that, it would just create so much havoc because if the quarterback didn't get rid of it, a lot of times there was nowhere to go. And it would lead to some big plays for us. Right now, they're able to scramble out of those situations where there should be nowhere to go. So if we can get that going, all of a sudden this defense looks a lot closer than it did last year. Now they're younger, so I'm not going to say they're all terrible. Like, it's a much younger crew. They do seem to be getting better as the weeks goes on. But if that clicks, all of a sudden that black shirt defense looks a lot closer than what it did last year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And think too, it's like you say 34-10, and I think Nebraska has it in up to where they can win 34-10. But then Nebraska still has a little bit of that Nebraska in them too. And playing a Friday night game in Minnesota against PJ Fleck, I see it more like 34-20, 34-23, something like that. It just seems like Nebraska has that tendency to play with their food a little bit, kind of like last week where they get the lead and then they kind of give it up a little bit. And I could see that being a game, tomorrow night, to where Minnesota gets some momentum, Nebraska has to bounce back, and I could see it kind of going in the same direction as the Maryland game. I hope that Nebraska can. It'd be cool to see Nebraska get a convincing victory. Win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. It just to solidify that. They don't like saying curse, but I always felt like it's always that curse of Nebraska football still kind of looms over it a little bit, and finally just put those ghosts to rest once and for all. And I think a commanding 34-10 victory would definitely help in putting those ghosts to rest once and for all.
Well, and also the all whites ghost.
Ooh.
And I'm leaning on a little bit of history. Now you might say 34-10 is crazy. But if I told you, if you're superstitious, in 2015, on October 17th, Nebraska went on the road and they beat Minnesota 48-25. Tomorrow, it's going to be October 17th. Nebraska's going to be wearing all white. They're going to be on the road. If you like weird coincidences, maybe you get a big Husker win. I'm also just leaning on the talent, but I did see that. It was kind of interesting. The last time Nebraska wore the all whites and played Minnesota, it was in a blowout, and it was October 17th, and I think it was a night game as well. So I'm hoping for a little bit of history to repeat itself here, that we can have the all whites in Minnesota have a huge win for us. And I think that's probably one of the biggest wins we've had over Minnesota. They actually hold the series over us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good with that. And then also too, with the all whites, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember Tommy Frazier's first start, 1992 against Missouri, was in all whites. And I'm thinking it was close to the beginning, mid-October, when he made that first start. So I'm curious what the anniversary of Tommy's first start and how that coincides with the all whites. So I'm saying jinxes are over tomorrow, and you've convinced me. 34-10. I'm going with you, Harrison.
I like that a lot.
Don't disappoint me.
I know. I also just love the all whites. They're so clean, and I get a little bit emotional when everyone's like always freaking out about the alternate uniforms. I've said it before, but you can find metrics to say anything is bad, and they've done that with the beautiful all whites. The all whites are some of the sickest uniforms that Nebraska has, and I mean seriously, if you're scared to wear the uniform, you're not going to win the game. Like, just flat out. If the uniform's what's psyching you out, you got some serious problems going on there. So I love the all whites. They're probably. What is your favorite Husker uniform right now? Because we've seen the all reds too. And the all reds, those are nice.
My favorite Husker uniform right now, man. It's weird. I guess maybe that might be the age difference. I don't really go too crazy on what the uniforms are. I mean, the uniform that always will stick out to me though for Nebraska is they used to wear the red pants with the white top, and then they used to have the red N on the sleeves. I used to love those.
Yeah,
used to love those
why
uniforms.
did we go away with that? I missed that as well. That was sick when they had that. I have to see pictures of it, but that looked nice with the N on it.
Roger Craig, Mike Rozier pictures. They looked quite nice back in those days. But I guess now they don't really wear sleeves anymore. They kind of have them curled up under their shoulder pads and stuff. So
yeah, you put it on the arm sleeve though. I mean, I remember with Taylor Martinez, like they used to have the N a lot more prominent. They'd put it on their arm sleeves. They'd have the big N on there, or at least something. I always feel like we're very simple, but we could throw one more N somewhere on the jersey. But I tradition's tradition. I can see why people don't want to touch it.
But I'll tell you what'll be really cool about that uniform tomorrow. For me, it's cool is they'll be decked out with the pink shoes and the pink gloves. That's gonna be really cool. That's something I don't think you've ever seen, with the all whites and then with the pink for, breast cancer awareness month and that. So I think that's going to be super special. So hopefully, like you said, no jinxes and Nebraska can roll tomorrow.
Would it be too weird if they went all out and they did pink stripes, but kept the red N on the helmet?
Yeah, that'd probably be a little too much, but I'm good with the pink gloves, pink shoes. I would maybe pink socks might be a little too much, but yeah, I could definitely see that. I would even, even if they even had a decal or something on the helmet, like still have the N, of course, but
yeah,
how they play in the role, or teams have played in the Rose Bowl or whatever, and they've had like a rose on their helmet and stuff like, just something that they would wear, a breast cancer awareness month decal on their helmet. That'd be cool. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, I like the alternates that they have lined up, though. I will say, like the black shirts, keep it simple. That is Nebraska. You can wear the black shirts. I like that one for that USC game, and if it's a night game, that's gonna be awesome. With that being said, Raff, give me keys to the game on the defensive side of the ball.
Keys to the game for me, like I said, it's going to be your front three, front four, and then higher defensive backs. But I think if you get him off, you just got to get him off time or off rhythm. Get him to where basically the word is flustered. If you can get him flustered, that's where Nebraska is going to see the most success. But if you let him stand back there in the pocket all night, he'll tear Nebraska up, because like he's got a big arm, can throw the ball a long way. So it's just one of those things that where Nebraska's just got to get him, off his time, off his rhythm.
Yeah, and sorry for making you repeat yourself. I meant offensive side of the ball there.
Offensively, I think it's just a matter of, they've how that running game.
Yep.
You've got almost called Amir Abdullah. You got Emmett Johnson, Amir part 2. You got him back there. Get him, up over his 100 yards rushing. The passing game, I just think that it's good, and you've got your weapons. We haven't really heard from Barney the last couple of weeks, return game, but receiving wise. So I look for a big game out of Barney, and then you got Kia and you got Hunter. Hunter's been on a roll, so they just have to go on it and play their game. And it's not so much as getting lost in what Minnesota's defense is doing. It's just Dana Holgerson. Hopefully he'll have that play calling sheet working to to perfection on the sideline. So we should be good to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. Emmett Johnson, is he the best player on the field? I asked Mornay this as well.
Is he the best player on the field? I'd say one of them. I think Barney, when he's full go, I think he's the best Nebraska has.
Yeah. No one's mentioned that. You could definitely put him in that mix, just what he has explosiveness. But even the fact that you had to hesitate. I mean, if you got to think about it, you get him the ball, however you do it.
Yep.
And I know sometimes we're like, he needs more carries. They use him a lot in that receiving game as well. So, I mean, he's touching the ball a lot, and he does need breathers from time to time. They have him in pass protection a lot as well. So for me, it's not always the carry numbers. Although if it's, under 15, I think that's kind of criminal. Yeah. But just make sure you're utilizing him, finding ways to attack that Minnesota team with one of your best players, if not the best.
Yep. He's about touches.
Yes.
Like I said, him catching the ball out of the backfield. That's where I see the comparisons to Amir. Is just when he catches the ball out of the backfield, the way he's able to break a tackle and get downfield. So yeah, definitely the touches for him. I mean, if he only has 12 carries, but if he complements that with, another 5 or 6 catches, I'm good with that. It's just a matter of just getting the ball in his hands in space.
Yeah, that part. And it's a little bit more challenging this year because you kind of want to get Hunter in space, especially on that tunnel screen that's been working 2 weeks in a row to perfection. So that's going to take a blow away. And then obviously Barney, you want to get him going. And then it feels like with Key, he's been phenomenal. You kind of want to get him the ball some more. It's a good problem to have. We got a lot of weapons, and you kind of want to feed everybody a little bit. But so far, Emmett Johnson's just been really consistent. So obviously, I think he's going to be a huge key to the game. For Dylan Raiola, I don't think he's going to have any problems with it, but just keep that confidence in check. And so far, he's been doing that all season long. He hasn't spiraled like he has in previous seasons when he has thrown a pick. He seems to be able to bounce back, and he's just got to keep playing his game. I think he's been doing a really good job. So I don't have a lot. He doesn't need to do anything crazy. Just play your game. And I think Nebraska get the win. And then offensive line, just keep showing that improvement. The run game was significantly better. The run block game. If you keep doing that, then that allows Emmett Johnson to feed. That opens up the passing game. And that's how this Husker offense scores 30-plus points again. So that's why I picked 34. Raff, we only got a little bit of time left. I'll let you have your final thoughts on the football game tomorrow. They'll hear you again tomorrow on pregame as well. But then also, I know you got your Raff's good take as well.
Okay, yeah. My final thought too is on Dylan. Is he has been so unselfish this year. Like he's not locked into a favorite receiver. If you look at his pass distribution, he's spreading the ball out to everybody, and I think that bodes for success for Nebraska. And if he continues to do that tomorrow night, it will not surprise me to see if he has 7 to 8 receivers incorporated in the passing game. So I think that's huge for Nebraska, that he's just not locking into one guy all the time. So I look forward for that for Nebraska. And then, so hopefully Nebraska can take care of business tomorrow night, and away they go, climbing in that top 25.
And being bowl eligible that early, that'd be a treat.
Yep, exactly. So, all right. So tonight, everybody, today's good take goes out to one of the best friends I got, former gymnastics coach Dan Kindig. It's his birthday on Saturday. Just wanted to wish him a very happy birthday. Dan is one of the coolest guys that you're ever going to meet. Can name every Kentucky Derby winner ever. It's crazy. You say the year he names it. It's wild. Just a great friend, great person. Allowed me to be around, some of the greatest gymnastics coaches in the history of college gymnastics. And just one of the best guys you'll ever meet. So, Dano, I hope you have a very happy birthday, and you are Raff's good take.
I like it. I'll double down. 5 bits broken chair. Support that thing. It's one of the coolest things in college football. And that's my good take for that one. But he was a pretty big factor for gymnastics back in the day, right? You can maybe educate me on that.
Yep, 25 years at Nebraska. The gym that they coached in was basically just an oversized classroom, and his teams, I believe, over the 25 years he was at Nebraska, his teams averaged being ranked in the top, what is it, 5th on average, like 5th place in the country every year. So yeah, he was a great coach.
Good call. He doesn't probably get enough credit.
No, I push for him every year. I've heard from the university that after his 10th year of being retired, that he's eligible for the Hall of Fame. So I believe he's got 3 years left. So I'm hoping on that 10th year that he's inducted into the Nebraska Gymnastics Hall of Fame, or the Nebraska Sports Hall of Fame. Sorry, Sports Hall of Fame ASAP. So when that 10th year hits, I'll probably be writing a letter to Troy Dannon that day saying, let's make this happen.
I'll hand deliver it to Troy Dannon. You just, mail it to me from Alabama, and I'll make sure he gets it. Because you're absolutely right. He deserves all the credit in the world. He spent a lot of time at the university. I didn't realize it was that many years, and to be that consistently good, that's one of the better coaches to ever run through our programs here at the University of Nebraska. With that being said, though, we do got to wrap it up. Chris Raff, I appreciate it as always. You will not hear last from Chris Raff, though. He'll be back on tomorrow for the pregame show. Don't go anywhere. That will be postgame for volleyball and football. So full slate tomorrow for Husker Sports. Raff, appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.